In this episode of Marie TV, we do have some adult language. So if you have little ones around, grab your headphones now. Hey there, and welcome to the Marie Forleo podcast. My guest today is my dear friend, Latham Thomas. And if you've never met her before, let me tell you a little bit about her. Latham is a celebrity wellness and lifestyle guru and birth doula who is named one of Oprah's Super Soul 100 and one of Mind Body Green's top 100 women to watch in wellness. She's the founder of Mama Glow and has been featured in Vogue, Self, Fast Company, Wall Street Journal Magazine, Essence, and Fit Pregnancy, among others. She is the proud mother of DJ Fulano, and she lives in New York City. And her latest new book, Own Your Glow, A Soulful Guide to Luminous Living and Crowning the Queen Within, is available now. Latham Thomas, welcome to the Marie Forleo podcast. So good to have you on, woman.
Marie, I'm so grateful to be here. What an honor.
Well, this new book, Own Your Glow, A Soulful Guide to Luminous Living, this is fantastic. I want to start off with why this book and this message right now. What was the inspiration for this one?
The inspiration for this book really came from what I saw as a need for women to embrace self-care, to slow down. I think that there's a force that women move with around like doing too much. And I think that you can achieve more by slowing down and being more intentional and embracing some of the feminine forces that help us to actually create. So I set out to write the book that sort of helps me with the principles that I use in my own life so that other people could do that themselves.
I love it. And I will admit wholeheartedly that I do battle with those same forces every single day. You know, I think part of my DNA, you and I have known each other for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my DNA, man, I am so wired as a doer. And I will tell you, my own growth edge is slipping into that feminine side. You know, it's something I'm very transparent about. It's like one of my life lessons. So I really appreciate that you've written this book because I will tell you, my mind certainly throws up some big old obstacles and stop signs and skepticism when it comes to wait, slow down to get more done.
Right.
But I will tell you when I do that and when I am wise enough to either listen to that own inner voice or sometimes, frankly, it's Josh who gets my ass to slow down.
That's right.
A lot of good things happen. So thank you. I just want to thank you for writing this and for continuing to support a message that is counter to the cultural narrative of nonstop 24/7, 365, work your eyeballs off.
That's right. I mean, everyone's doing that. Everyone's, moving towards achievement. But if we think about like how we get there and at what cost, most of us are like tired or get sick or, we don't have in other areas of our life that we want fulfillment. They're not really fleshed out because we're focusing on all of our energy on productivity instead of process, really, right? So it's just an invitation for people to look at how they can explore how to really enjoy the process more and
Yes.
And always check in, because I think even as business owners and people who are, moving towards entrepreneurship, you have to constantly check in and pivot and make decisions and change your mind and, fail and then get back up. There's so many things you have to do along the journey, but you check in as much as possible. And I think that that's a really important thing that I'm asking people to do in this book.
Well, you said something that is key that many of us miss, and I do my best to remember it. I'm not always successful, but I am definitely getting better at it with age, I'll tell you that, is you mentioned the word process. And one of the things that has come to me recently is that it's actually all process. Like
Yep.
all of life is process. There is no destination, really. Like if you step back and understand the unfolding of your business or your relationships or your motherhood or your creations, It is all process. So the tools that you're giving us in this book, and we're going to get into some of that in a few minutes, really help us just embrace a more holistic approach, which then makes the process that much more enjoyable. And from my own experience, tends to lead to much better outcomes. And even if it doesn't, damn it, you had a good time along the way.
That's right.
So let's go in with one of the points you make about the importance of giving dreams their due. As a single mom, you know this, right? You know what it feels like to be stretched to the max, so to speak, which I know is a feeling that many folks in our audiences, whether they're a single mom or a single dad or a coupled parent, or they have no kids, feeling stretched to the max is something that I think many of us can relate to. But as you share in the book, dreams are free. Talk to us about the value of making time for our dreams, especially when our lives feel so incredibly full.
Yeah, so I think, I'm really grateful that I have an incredible partner who supports me and my son and who's with my son right now. And in fact, I was a single mom for many years. And I think a lot of people will come up with reasons why they can't seek fulfillment or really seek to approach their dreams with persistence because of perceived obstacles like having a child or having a child alone. And for me, I think that when you have something that takes up so much space in your life, not just mental space, emotional, like you have to design your life around taking care of someone else, and not to mention making sure that they have food to eat and their tuition is paid, like all these things, right? There's a pressure that is put upon you that you have to step up into, and so you rise to the occasion. I think that the 24 hours in a day that everyone gets, you learn how to bend time, and I think that if there's really a willingness to succeed in any particular endeavor, then you figure it out. So it's not like I had like a rubric and I was like, okay, here's what I do now at this step. I just had like the looming sense of, impending failure or, like I couldn't not succeed. I didn't have a choice. It wasn't really like there was an alternative except for to just do. So I think that for each person, when you're looking at like, what is my life going to look like with this child? Or what is my life going to look like with, taking care of a sick parent? Or what is my life going to look like, leaving my job? Like you can't imagine what it'll be like and until you're actually in it. But then when you're in it, you have these like downloads and these nuggets of wisdom that come, and you actually figure out with ingenuity how to solve problems. So you actually need that it's like iron sharpens iron. So you kind of need these tests to help you get over the edge. Otherwise, sometimes you're not stretched to the point where you can have moments of brilliance. So I really think that it was because of the circumstances of, being a single mom that I had way sharper ingenuity. I had way better problem solving skills. I could juggle way more because there was less time to work with. It's almost like when you're in the kitchen and your refrigerator's full of food, you can't figure out what to eat. And when you only have like 5 things, you can come up with a masterpiece. It's like sometimes that's what you need to grow, right?
And
So
then
I think
how
that's a
about
big piece.
dreams? Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about dreams though, the value of making time for that. Let's say someone listening right now is feeling that stretch to the max for whatever
Right.
reason. Why should they carve out time to dream?
Yeah, so the dreams are like the blueprint for what's possible. If you settle in the reality of what your experience is right now today, and whatever that is circumstantially for you, and you don't create space to open up your consciousness around what could be possible, and even things that may be beyond your reach are necessary to have as part of a landscape and a topography of what your life could become. So the dreams are really important because they're the soil that fuels the purpose of your soul, really. So making the time includes not just our sleeping so that you can have actual dreams while you're resting, but so subconscious dreaming. But there's also like waking dreams that you have when you're like daydreaming, or when you're doodling, or when you're meditating. When you allow yourself to play, you have moments of brilliance and maybe problem solving. So it's not just like, let me write down a whole bunch of goals. That's not really what it is. It's more like, let me make space for brilliance to come forth so that I can also, pivot in my life the way I need to. But sometimes you can't be just like writing down lists. Sometimes it has to be freeing yourself from the cognitive function of doing something, and rather being involved in something that takes your mind out of your day-to-day life and allows you to have more expansive thought and more expansive ideas. And so
Yes.
so I think whatever that feels like for you, if there's things that you really love to do that you're not doing enough of, in terms of activities, social, events that you could be going to, things that you're afraid to do, like, if you're afraid of heights, like doing something that takes you out of your safety net, that kind of stuff is really important to help us see something bigger. So it's about an experiential, full existence, right? And
Yes.
that's what I think we really need to call ourselves to do more of. Because if we look at like just what's right ahead of you, like a deadline and bills and all these things, that can really hamper your ability to see beyond.
I agree 100%. And I'm telling you, Latham, we are so connected intuitively because I'm looking at my questions, which you don't know what I'm going to ask you. And also you picked up on something I'll mention that I haven't really told anyone. So I'll go right to it. This
Ooh,
plays perfectly into the power of playfulness. And I will
yes.
say, while I was a bit hard on myself in the beginning, saying I can be a doer, as again, you know that about me, I will
Yep.
say I will give myself a pat on the back and brag. I am really fucking good at play. Like
You are good at play.
play is a thing that is so just inherent to my life. And just to back up your point, when I play, whether that means dancing or literally playing a game, it could be a card game, it could be kickball, it could be, playing with a puzzle, it could be playing in any way, like doing silly voices and sounds and hide and seek kind of things, or playing with Kuma, my dog. It's amazing how many ideas and breakthroughs and solutions appear from a piece of my consciousness that is simply not accessible when I am focused in a more cognitive, get it done, trying to access my wisdom kind of way.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, for good reason, right? Like when your brain is on and like you're trying to get things done, it takes an enormous amount of energy to stay focused on that thing, because your brain is doing a gazillion things at once. Every second there's 800 trillion things happening in your body. So it's like, yes, your brain would want to focus on that one thing. But play is so amazing because when we think about when we were children, that was like the framework for our existence, what we could imagine, right? And so if we think about play for adults, it also allows us to bring back in imagination, bring back in limitlessness, right? When you start to actually have what I think is a really healthy dose of naivete that comes in, especially for people who are on the path to start something new, it's really important to not have like a ceiling on what's possible for you, because you might not even try to achieve that goal or really see the edges of what that dream could look like for you and expand if you feel like there's a limit, right? So I think that
Yes.
that's what also dream and play offers, and it also allows you to do things that you know are silly and like allow you to relax and not take things so seriously. And in that, that energy of ease that you slip into when you're playing, like you said, these little nuggets of, wisdom come through, or solution, or an idea, or an aha. So it is like when we kind of finally relax in our body and in our mind, where we allow ourselves to have these moments. And so you do have to create space for that, because it's quite simply like really difficult or really easy to fall into just being on a hamster wheel.
Yes. And I love that, the quote in your book. One of my favorite quotes, George Bernard Shaw, when he says, "We don't stop playing when we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." And for
Yes, right.
anyone listening right now who might be going, wow, looking at their birthdays, looking at that calendar and going, how did this happen? How did I get here? I will say, Latham, again, you and I have known each other for quite some time. I think one of the secrets to feeling your best in your body and really liking who you are as a human and continuing to evolve and love your life, especially as we advance in age, is play. And I love one of the things you recommend in the book is that you have to plan for play. I'm curious, how does that show up for you in your life?
I plan for play like daily. So for me, it's, I talk a lot about self-care and glow time, as I call it, which is just an opportunity for you to return home to yourself and check in and really moment to moment understand what it is you might need. And so sometimes that's, a game of ping pong in the office, or it's, going for a run or playing tag or bike riding and, maybe racing my son, on the bikes or whatever it is. For me, it's something that it's like ingrained, like, okay, here's the time that, between this meeting and this meeting, there's like a really nice break. Here's what I'm going to do. Right. So I just kind of, because my days sometimes are very full, what makes it really easy for me to sustain myself is punctuating the day with play. So I think that for people who have to interface with other human beings consistently, or who have to like run around or whatever it is that you have to do, a lot of energy expenditure goes into pouring into other people. So for me, a way to kind of keep myself light and almost like hit Control Alt Delete and reboot myself is to have play. So it really depends on where I am. So right now I'm out of town, and when I go to different cities, I find out what I can do in that city. So in LA, as soon as I get off a plane, the first thing I do is drop my bags. I go right on the beach on a bike. And then I call a friend who meets me for a bike ride. And then I go get juice or whatever it is. But I make sure that I kind of like get tether wherever I am. And even if I'm at home, again, like I don't sit at the computer all day. I'm going to get up, go stretch, run outside, maybe go play with like somebody's dog. When my neighbors, I'll walk their dog, like little things that just kind of make me reconnect with life. So it can be whatever for people. It doesn't have to be a board game, although those are fun too, but it can just be something that makes you feel playful and light.
Love it. And, for anyone listening going, oh, I ain't got the time for play, ladies. I do not have it. Can't find it. One of the other things you talk about in the book, which you and I are both huge fans of, is this power of pruning. We actually did this Marie TV episode. I don't know if you saw it, Latham, where we did a dance called the Purge and Prune. And in your book, you talk about seeing your life as a garden, and you want to see every living thing as supporting the cultivation of your best self, or it's strangling all the goodness that's thriving in your life. So I know for me, I am constantly pruning. I am constantly editing down. I have a visceral reaction. This is true to too many things, too much clutter, too much whatever. It starts to fry my circuits. So let's talk about some examples of cultivation and strangulation.
Oh, yes. I love that. Well, cultivation, I think, can really be supported by a community, for instance. So if you're someone who's looking for, and I know a lot of people who are here listening are part of the Marie Forleo community. So coming to a space like that might feel really fulfilling, right? It might help you to grow yourself. It's like watering the seeds. And then think about, for instance, maybe you have a friend in your life who's more negative, or always, you'll say something that you're excited about, and then they come in and they have like some negative forecasting, or like, oh, you shouldn't do that because of this, or, like layering their stuff onto you. And then when you hang up the phone, you're like, I need a yoga class, right? That is something that you feel like, I need less of that in my life. Well, you got to listen to these kind of signals, right? And so I think it's always about, trimming the fat, weeding the garden. Like you got to look at what helps sustain you and what, starts to deplete you, what's inspiring you and what's tiring you. And it's really simple. Like you don't have to, it's like not rocket science. Like kids do it all the time. They're like, that person's mean, I'm not playing with them. Right. Like we just started to like, oh, well, you make up excuses for why you have to do something instead of really listening to the wisdom of your body. That's also very clear about like what it is that supports you. And, like Marie always says, it's a hell yes or it's a hell no. Like that's super simple. It's not like rocket science. I think that people have to start to, instead of trying to talk their way into doing things, like if you have a consortium about something, the answer is no. Like you should be able to know right away, like this feels really good. I want to pursue it. This doesn't feel good anymore. I need to like find a way to get this off my plate. And so I think that constant checking in and constant engagement with the process allows us an opportunity to check in and say, I need to trim the fat over here, or you know what, this needs to go, or I need more of this. So if we are engaged in the process, we can do that. If we're so focused on like what's on the other side, we're not really paying attention to what's happening. So then we can get sick along the journey, or, things start to fall apart and we're making excuses for why we're still here or what's going on. And we're not really seeing that we might be at the root of the problem. So there's a lot of things that happen as a result of us not paying attention. So when we pour our intention into paying attention, then that means paying attention to what's going on with us moment to moment, but also what's happening in the ambient landscape that we're deeply connected to and a part of, and the landscape of our business, and then everything that supports us. That we have to constantly be dancing in those spaces to understand like the health and well-being of everything that we touch. So that's how you tend the garden, right? Like you're looking at the health and well-being of every single thing that's there. Some things like to grow together, like nightshades love each other. They like to grow together. They do not like to hang around leafy green vegetables. Cool. You got to know, right? Like where to put things in your life, right?
Yes.
So you got to know when like the weeds come in because you took a vacation for 2 weeks, didn't have nobody that you delegated to, and then you come back, you're like, what happened? It's like, so all these things, it requires our attention. You can't ever turn your head and then come back and be like, oh, well, it's not my fault, right? So we have to be responsible in our lives in every aspect. And so this reclaiming of responsibility and ownership, I call it glownership over our lives, is an opportunity for us to really step more into our power, because you know what's going on in your own garden, right? And versus somebody else telling you, well, this is what's happening here. Like, why do you need somebody else to tell you your business?
Yes. No, I love it. And some things that you hit on that I just want to emphasize and underline and underscore for anyone listening is the wisdom of the body. When you're in the moment and you're paying attention to what needs to be cultivated or built up or added more of in your garden versus what needs to be weeded out because it's strangling all the goodness and the life out of yourself and the other plants around you. Trusting your body's wisdom. I feel like our minds can sometimes lead us astray. There's so much logic and wanting to be a people pleaser and not wanting to hurt anyone, and like all of these different negotiations that can happen in the conversation between our ears, where our bodies, if you're there and you are brave enough to feel it, will give you an instant answer. And that's
right.
What's exciting about all the tools that you talk about in Own Your Glow. I love it because it gives us so many different access points to come into this way of being, so that for any of us who tend to drive really hard, work really hard, put in 14, 18-hour days, go at it. Again, I raise my hand. That is something I do. But this gives us an opportunity to balance and flex those feminine qualities that can help take us to a whole other level of not just success, because that's a bit scientific. What's really great is having this rich, fulfilling, meaningful life, because all the success in the world doesn't mean nothing if you're miserable or you're sick.
That's right.
Or you got nobody around you. I want to move on to something. Yes, right? I know. Where you and I are like, if we were in the same room, we'd be hugging and dancing. Something else that I thought was so wonderful. building off this idea of purging and pruning and cultivating your garden is deciding, what we should let go of. And one of the parts I highlighted was you have the core 4 to figure out what we might be ready to let go of. And so these questions, I'm going to cover 3 of them. You have to check out the book for the rest. Who am I holding on to by attracting people that don't serve my highest good? Next one. What do I gain by remaining stuck in the same situation or circumstance? That's always a powerful question. And I love this 3rd one that I'm going to share again. There's more in the book. How have I constructed my life to follow other people's rules? That one was the one I was like, woo, highlight that one, put a star on it, circle it. And for anyone listening, write this one down. It's a great question. How have I constructed my life to follow other people's rules? So good, Latham. How's that one affected you, that last one?
I think that when I was younger, you spoke about it a little bit earlier when you said the pleasing, right?
Yes.
This sickness that that's seated in us at an early age around basically automating our responses based on other people's level of comfort, a way of life that really strangles us from being in our truth because we don't want to upset other people at the expense of our own well-being or our own truth. So I think that, and this is everybody who's, breathing, that deals with this in some way, shape, or form in their lives. And I think that, sometimes it starts with like parents or, school teachers or, people that you sort of look up to or aspire or hope love you, that you place a lot of what they think or see in you as part of what you determine for yourself and what a life could be. And we have to, at a certain point, just grow up and get grown, like sister girl grown, like really grow up and stop looking to that rubric, like looking to what other people set out for you, what they see in you, and what do you see in you, Like we have to stop looking at, our status or our feed for validation, stop checking what other people are doing for validation. Check your pulse. Like, are you here? Are you alive? Are you thriving? Like, what are you doing in your life, right? Like, be in tune and attuned to what's happening with you. And I think that we're so taught to turn away from our bodies, to turn away from our feelings, to subliminate them so that we can achieve these goals that were set out for us, even sometimes before we were born. And these stories that we are fulfilling for other people and their, and their sense of, self-worth. And so we become almost like, trophies or, like we become like trophies for people if we don't live our lives in the way that we're meant to. And we live our lives through the lens of other people's rules or other people's expectations of us. We're not fulfilled. Even like you said, if you have all the success in the world in doing something, it is not what you want to be doing. You will not be happy. So I think that you just won't be. You won't be dancing like Marie in these videos every week, child. Okay? So if you want to be dancing, if you want to be happy, if you want to feel fulfilled, if you want to have, serendipity and like beautiful people in your life and feel like what everyone talks about is like this blessed existence and this kind of like, oh my God, like all these things are so synchronous that are happening. Like that is because you're living in truth, right? That these things happen. And so when you get to this place where you're like, you know what, I'm so sick of doing this over here, trying to live through this lens, trying to, do these things that I was taught, were so important. Then you get pissed enough, right, to push the boundaries. When you start to see that you were encased, right, that there was like a ceiling for what was possible for you, or maybe even boundaries around what people that probably didn't even want you to know what was that you were capable of doing other things, and you start to push that, bust through that, and really understand like the greatness of who you are and who you could become. We're really becoming, like, this is an opportunity as women for us to explore like really who we can be, like as we continue to allow ourselves to evolve and peel back our layers of vulnerability to expose who we really are, not who people want us to be. And
That's
so for
right.
me, I think my upbringing of having a mom who was really strong, who protected us, who's like, a fierce lioness, I didn't have to defend myself because she was always the one like standing up for me, rolling up to the school, whatever it was. Like, my mom was coming, people were going to get, like, it was going to be a problem. I don't want to curse, but it was going to be a problem. If my mom came to the school, you have problems. If you're messing with me, you have problems. So I didn't ever have to defend myself. And so then it came a time where I remember, there was a couple of times in my life where I was in a position where I had to like put on my big girl underwear and, my panty power suit and basically stand up for myself and be like, wait a minute, I don't want to disrupt this person's feelings or hurt them or make them think. And I had to go through that and be like, you know what, Latham, like, you're the one who's upset in the situation. You're the one who's hurting in the situation. You're the one who's suffering. You're the one who needs to speak up, right? People can't read your mind. So I had to start defending myself. And then I remember in some pivotal experiences in my life, definitely around like the separation of my son's father and I, where that's really when I learned how to use my voice as well. And I would also say the birth of my son and using, my voice in the birth and having this beautiful experience. But, I also was awakened as a woman in that process too. So I think it's been like a journey, but definitely there was moments in my life where I was thrust out of this safety net of, security and being like the sweet person that doesn't want to like, ruffle feathers. Like, that is gone. And the days of like people, living in that way are gone, because you cannot live your life based on other people's expectations. Eventually, if you're a robot, probably so. But if you're not a robot, eventually something's going to piss you off enough that you're going to bust at the seams, and the real you that you didn't even realize was in there, like waiting for her turn, she ain't gonna wait for her turn no longer. She's gonna come out, and then all of a sudden, people are going to see like all of the fierce, feminine, fiery energy that you have pent up inside that you could have been using to fortify your business. You could have been using to speak truth to power. You could have been using to, lift other people. You could have been using to seek your dream, but you were too busy trying to make sure other people were happy. No.
Yes. Yes. No, I love it. Latham, this is just, you're amazing. I adore you, as you know. I want to thank
I
you.
adore you.
Thank you for doing the work that you do in the world. Every time I'm around you, I feel like I stand taller. My eyes are open brighter, and you just have a magical sense about you. When I'm in your presence, I always feel like more is possible. So thank you for making the time to be with us today. I want to close up on something that you wrote, because I think it's a brilliant twist on a phrase that I've never quite liked, but you turned it around and I love it. The popular phrase, fake it till you make it. And you
Oh,
have the
yes.
twist that's faith it till you make it. So for everyone out there, whether they're in a place that's really difficult right now and they don't know how they're going to get out, or they're at the beginning of a big new dream, a new chapter in their life, tell us a little something about faith in it till you make it.
Yeah, it's like there is nothing fake about you. Like, everything about you is real. You're here in the flesh. You're magic, but you're also real. And your journey and everything about it, be it smooth, be it bumpy, be it twisty, turvy, and complicated, it's your own. And this arc of your life is your own. Nobody else has it. Nobody else can fulfill it. And so on the other end of it is everything, I believe, is everything that you've ever wanted, should you seek to expand yourself enough to have the courage to get there. And the universe rewards courage. I believe that. So you have to have the faith, number one, faith, faith, to take the journey. You have to have the faith to not be able to necessarily see where you're going, but only see enough to be able to order your steps one in front of the other. And you have to have the risk friendliness also to be able to move in the direction of what is possible without even seeing the entire landscape of possibility. So part of it is like obscured, right? So if you see, when you're looking forward, you have peripheral vision, but you don't have eyes behind your head, right? So you can only see a little bit of what's out there, but then the rest, like, you fill in with imagination, the rest you fill in with faith, the rest you fill in with love, and you boost it with your faith, right? So I believe that each of us is encoded like a little seed we were talking about earlier, with everything that you need to get you through in life. I believe that when you're born on mission. And it's a lot of stuff that happens to us along our journeys that keep us, off, that like move us off course. But it's our job, and the people, the earth angels that you encounter in your life, your mentors, people like Marie, the people that you faithfully listen to, the programs that you do, all of these people and all of this wisdom is angelic, because it helps you to move back, to stay on course. This is all really important to help you also restore your faith in what's possible for you. Now, you have to take actions every day. You have to keep walking one foot in front of the other, even in the times that feel really difficult, even when you can't see the other side. You have to walk with the lantern of light that is your faith, right? And that's what's going to keep you going, along with the purpose that's thriving inside of you. So that's how you get to someplace, not being fake and then pretending until you make it, because there's nothing to pretend. Like, we are becoming. So you're not fake because you aren't there yet. You are fashioning yourself in the way that you need to become, so that when you get to the other side, you're ready. Like how a caterpillar is eating and, like crawling around and looking cute. And then all of a sudden one day it decides it's ready, and then spins itself a chrysalis and hangs out in there, and then emerges as a butterfly, like on faith, right? It just knows what to do, but it knows exactly when, and it follows these steps, and it just knows. It has an inner knowing, and it moves on that, right? So we have to move in the same way, right? Like, not letting our minds get the best of us and talk us out of doing things, not letting people get the best of you and talk you out of doing something that you've always wanted to do, but keep the faith. And so the part of that is engaging in dialogue, in systems, in podcasts like Marie's, in, books like Own Your Glow, to help as resources so that you keep that faith strong as you take the journey towards living the life of your dreams.
Beautiful. Latham, thank you so much for taking the time today, especially when you're out on speaking tour, which I know is a lot. If people want to find out more about the book, obviously, y'all go get it on Amazon. But what's the best website where folks can find you?
I think for now, just go to ownyourglowthebook.com, because everything about the book is there. Everything about like tour dates is there. And then also I'm on Instagram, and I'm pretty good at like following up with people at
Awesome.
Glow Maven.
Beautiful. Latham, thank you so very much. I adore you. Have a great rest of the time on the tour. And for everyone listening, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. B-School is coming up. Want in? For more info and free training, go to joinbschool.com.